Hey everyone, it's Hannah. I wanted to quickly ask if you are enjoying the podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. It goes a long way in getting the show in front of other listeners. If you listen on a platform that doesn't do reviews, please follow us on social media, like the show, or leave a comment. Thank you. We love you guys, and we hope you enjoy the show. You're listening to The Tales We Tell, a podcast about spooky stories, unsolved mysteries, and local lore. I'm your host, Hannah Parch.
And I'm Katy.
Welcome back. I just listened to a podcast. Do you listen to Ologies ever?
I am on like a weird podcast hiatus right now.
Nice.
You know how I am. Like I hyperfixate, and then I'm like I'm done with it.
Yeah.
And so I also kind of like binge and purge. I used to say I'm book bulimic because I'd go like 6 months.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't. You know, always had a book in my nose.
Yeah.
Or my nose in a book. There we go. Not walking around with books in my nose. I mean, I know it's a big nose, but it's not that big. And then I wouldn't touch a book for 6 months.
Yeah.
I mean, now I'm on my longest streak ever.
I was going to say, you're on books a lot right now. I do that with, not necessarily with listening to podcasts, but with certain podcasts that I listen to. And I, as we have been discussing previous, I guess, off mic, since that stuff probably won't make it in.
There's nothing good in there.
I've been having a really hard mental health week, and so I have been partially surviving on podcasts because I need them to trick my brain into functioning.
Think about something else.
Yeah, think about something else. Just like perform normal tasks.
If you can't make your brain think the good things, the rational things, then at least try to distract your brain. And that's probably why I'm addicted to reading right now, is because my life and my brain is so overwhelming at times where I'm just like, you know what? I need to turn everything off, turn off all the noise, and just read a book.
Yes.
Just read smut.
Well, I have been very obsessed with Ologies.
I've heard of this one.
Oh, it's so good. And Allie Ward, she has a really great voice. And also you learn just so much random stuff.
I love learning.
But I was finishing up one this morning about linguistics, and they talked about code switching and how usually when people code switch, they can't describe how they code switch. And usually when people talk about code switching, they're usually talking about doing it within like a cultural, it's usually, you know, Black people talking to their...
Using their white voice?
Yeah, using their white voice. Sorry, I don't know another way to say it.
Well, there was the movie that came out. What is it?
Thank You for Calling, or...
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Which, essentially talked about that.
I think they literally said, use your white voice.
Yeah. But she was saying, like, a lot of people code switch in little, smaller ways. And she was saying, you know, it's usually, like, inflection that you change, and usually people can't describe how they do it. They just know they do it. And I was like, I don't think I do that. And I was like, oh, no, wait. I do have my podcast intro voice. I was like, I think my regular voice on the podcast is generally the same, but that intro voice is very different.
Yeah. And I feel like mine changes every time, too. And, you know, for me with code switching, I think mine are tied to my masks because I do a lot of masking. And I'm trying to do it less and be my true authentic self. But some things are like really hard to untrain. Like, you know, it was ground into me not to yell.
Yeah.
Like, because sometimes I'd be talking, I'd get excited, and I'd just get loud and loud and loud. And, you know, my friends were always like, Katy, we're right here. Stop yelling at us.
I hate when people say that.
I'm just like, I'm sorry. And it crushes your excitement and your joy.
It does.
And you're basically reprimanding someone for being excited about a thing. So, like, yeah, sometimes somebody might be talking loudly at you, but if they're excited.
Yeah. Or passionate about something.
Yes.
Yeah. I get loud if I'm, you know, worked up about something.
Let them do their thing.
Yeah. That is one thing I get very offended if Jarek is... He'll usually, like, make a gesture, like, tone it down. And I'm like, oh, you're making it worse! Yeah. So, anyways, everyone should go listen to Ologies. And thank you, Allie Ward, for sustaining me for these last several days. I also listened to the one on museums, which is really good. I listened to one on dogs. Which if you need I also cried through that one, which I think I was just maybe on a really I don't know. I'm currently listening to a 2-parter on dolphins, and I listened to one on the Paris catacombs.
Interesting.
And I listened to one on...
Didn't you see the Paris? Didn't you?
I did, and I want to see them again. And I might have put them down as a topic possibility. And yeah. There's also, like, I listened to one on word puzzles as I was doing a crossword. Like, I'm telling you, literally anything you can... There's an ologist out there. I listened to one about bugs, and I wasn't freaked out. I like bugs. Really proud of me. I mean, like, there's one about the ocean. I'm not sure I'm going to listen... I don't know. But...
Maybe if anyone else listens to Ologies, they can let us know if it's okay for you to listen. Is it a Hannah safe episode?
Someone pre-listened to that and... Tell me if it's safe to listen to.
On that note, what is this episode rated?
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of things we're scared of, I'm going to rate this PG-13 based on the fact that I told this story to Lyra last night, but it was a small group, and it was Bev, our instructor, who is an adult. It was Amelia, who is 16, and then it was our youngest member, who I think is 9. And for part of the story, I definitely just whispered to Amelia, or not to Amelia, to Bev. I was like, Amelia probably could have handled it, but the 9-year-old, I was like, don't listen to this part, because this part's kind of bad. And I kind of glossed over some parts so that she couldn't hear them. So, and it's mostly just for graphic stuff. But yeah. And I'm going to tell you how I came to this story, okay? Because it was by accident. So I was like, you know what? I'm having a hard week. I want to stay away from, like, the dark subject matter. I don't want to do, like, a murderer. I can't do, like, a demonic thing. This
is why I always seek out cryptids.
I know. And, I was like... My coworker, who often helps me pick topics, he was like, do a cryptid. And I was like, cryptids are kind of Katy's thing. I kind of need to check. Well, so then I was like, the lion. I was like, I'll do a fun animal story. Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to do those lions. So I, like, messaged our group. And Dumbo me had, like, basically summarized the story of the man-eating lions. I think it was in Kenya, who just had the bad teeths, who were just eating people because we soft. We soft and easy to eat. So I was like, I can't do that.
Soft and doughy.
Soft and doughy.
It's like we're the reverse of, like, a lot of candies. They're like, it's a, hard candy with a soft, chewy center.
Yeah, we're opposite.
We got a crunchy inside.
Yeah, we're like a caramel covered peanut.
No, because even caramel is hard. Maybe more like a chocolate covered pretzel.
Ooh, with like some nougat.
I was about to say, we're a chocolate-covered pretzel, but it's a big pretzel that's stuffed with more soft stuff inside.
That's good. Ooh, maybe like a chocolate-covered soft pretzel.
Yeah.
With a hard pretzel on the inside. We're overthinking the...
I'm hungry.
Anyways, so we're
not doing that story.
No, we're not doing the lions. So I was talking to my sister, and she was like, you should do the story of that chimp that ripped the lady's face off. And I was like, I should, because I'm scared of chimps, and this is, like, perfect. I can justify, like, my fear of chimpanzees. You guys know I love to justify a fear on here. So I looked up that story, and it is really tragic. Not just because that woman got her face ripped off, but because that chimp was, like, raised from birth by, not the lady he attacked, but, like, her friend. And, like, to my knowledge, had not shown any other signs of aggression, was, like, pretty, I mean, like, I'm not saying tame. We're going to talk about wild animal stuff. But then, like, just kind of had this out of character outburst. And then, like, as he was attacking this lady, his caretaker, who was, like, essentially his mother, had to, like, stab him with a butcher knife to, like,
get him to release her.
Yeah, and it didn't work. And then he tried to attack her, and she had to, like, hide in her car and call the police, and then they had to kill him. And I was like, oh, this is too much. Like, which, sorry, I summarized that story for everyone. But I was like, this is too much. I'm not into, like, animals that we raise from birth that have to die. So I was like, well, what am I going to do? Well, then I found this story, which I was like, oh, this one seems better. Well, I did the thing where I got too deep into it, and I was like, well, it's not that much better. So I'm going to tell you the story about Moe the Chimp. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you up front, Moe, to our knowledge, is okay. Moe does not...
Moe survives the story.
Moe doesn't get killed at the end of the story, is what I'm going to say. But you will rightfully, if I do my job right, be terrified of chimpanzees still by the end of this.
I won't say I'm terrified of them.
You should be.
But I have no real desire to go and interact with them.
I find it alarming how easily they appear to be able to get out of their enclosures.
See, that's the thing is, like, I admire them. Like, I mean, they're cousins, basically. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, it's just interesting to, you know, the people who do, like, ape research. Mm-hmm. I actually had a professor in college who worked with Chantek, the orangutan, who understood the concept of money.
Yuck.
So he was given, like, you know, a string with, like, wooden blocks and stuff on it, like, basically a children's toy.
Yeah.
And, you know, they would, you know, work with him on his lessons and his sign language and stuff, and, like, okay, you know, here's your payment for your work today, you know, and here's your money. Do you want to buy a treat? You know, that'll cost 2 beads if you want this. And basically he understood the concept of, like, I have this and I will trade.
I worked for this.
Yeah,
I did a task for this.
And then I can trade this in for, I can buy things with this token.
Okay.
So I think it's fascinating. But again, like, those are people, like, in very controlled settings.
Yeah.
Like, this is not people who just know somebody or somehow get a wild animal off of the black market. This is...
Yeah. And this story also has, like, some interesting talking points. So, like, this is one of those ones where, like, I would be disappointed if I wasn't able to record this with you. Like, if I had to record it with someone else. So, which is most episodes, but anyways. Okay.
Glad to know I'm not replaceable.
All right. So, first thing you need to know is our main character's names. His first name is St. James.
Okay.
Just threw me off the whole story. That's just his first name.
Got it.
He's also apparently a race car driver, but whatever. Okay, so in 1966, St. James Davis, who was a person, a race car driver, in 1966, he was supposed to be getting married to his fiancée, whose name is LaDonna.
Okay.
I know. And he, for whatever reason, skipped his wedding and was just working on his car instead. And a lot of people were not happy about this.
I bet I know one person who is probably very, very not happy.
Yeah. So LaDonna was not happy. The town was not happy. Like, he got a lot of heat for it, and he was like, oh, I should skip town to, like, run away from my problems, I guess. I don't know how old he was at this point. Like, just not making good decisions.
Like, if you don't want to get married, say something.
I know. So he saw an ad in the paper for deckhands for an around-the-world voyage.
Oh my gosh, it's below deck.
This is 1966. So he's like, I have never been on a ship before. I will take it. I will do anything to get away from
all of this mess.
So according to him, during this little adventure, the ship stopped in Tanzania for repairs, and St. James befriends some locals and joins them on a hunt. And on this hunt, he witnessed some poachers kill a female chimpanzee who had just given birth. I know. Not good.
I mean, poachers, they need to be hunted.
Yeah.
But God.
I know. Also, why are we killing... I'm not a fan of chimpanzees, but, like, let them be in the wild doing their thing. Why are we killing them? Is there...
I think meat.
Oh, okay. If you're going to kill it for meat, is it poaching at that point?
Yes. Basically, if it's... if there's legal protections and you kill them anyway. I think technically, hunting for deer out of season is poaching.
Oh. Good to know.
I don't know if that's technically the term for it. Basically, poaching is taking something you're not supposed to take. And by take, I mean harvesting or killing an animal.
Gotcha. Okay. So he witnesses this, and then the next day, he goes back and rescues the baby chimpanzee that he, I guess, either knew or suspected had been left behind. And it
drives me insane. Why kill a female who has a baby? Because that's just stupid. Like the first rule of foraging for things is never take more than half of what's there. If you're going to take berries, leave more than half there so that there's more. Don't take a female that just gave birth, because not only are you down one chimp, that baby is going to die of exposure.
Yeah, now you've killed two.
Now you've killed two, and all other future offspring that chimp would lead to.
Well, don't worry, because the baby chimp lives.
Is that Moe?
This is Moe.
Okay.
So St. James rescues the baby, and he abandons his ship. He's like, I'm just going to stay here for a while and take care of this baby chimp. So he spends several weeks. The article I read said, foraging for food, just trying to figure out how to, keep this infant chimpanzee alive. And also trying to find a way to get home, because he has abandoned his one mode of transportation. So eventually he gets the help of some German missionaries. Gotta love the missionaries.
All right.
And they get him a flight back to LA. And I guess in 1966, we are not concerned about taking baby chimpanzees on international flights, because he said Moe just sat on his lap.
Pretty sure you were also smoking on airplanes at that point, so.
Yeah, but how are we getting through customs with this live chimpanzee? Was customs a thing in 1966? You have to declare that, right?
He basically adopted it, so it's not, it's not goods. It's not like he's declaring a piece of furniture or booze.
Okay.
He's like, oh no, I picked this up at the duty free.
Yeah,
in the Tanzania
like, no,
airport.
I got it at the airport. It's non-taxable. So he gets home back to Southern California is where he lives, and he now has this little baby chimp that he has named Moe, and eventually Moe, the cute baby chimp, wins LaDonna's heart.
Okay, thank you. I've been on the edge of my seat waiting to hear what has LaDonna been up to while he's been off on this wild adventure.
She's big mad. She meets him at the airport when he gets back, and she's real mad.
I hope she slaps him in the face. First thing.
The Esquire article did not mention that.
Freaking deserves it.
But it did say that I guess their moms, his mom and her mom, were really good friends, and so her mom would go over a lot to their house and would see Moe, and then eventually she was dragging LaDonna over, and so LaDonna was fine, I'll come see the baby chimp, and then eventually she was okay, fine, baby chimp is the cutest thing I've ever seen. And she described Moe as, quote, a large teddy bear, which I don't like chimps, but sure, whatever.
Have you ever seen a baby chimp though? They are really cute.
Well,
especially when they're like learning things. They're adorable. Baby animals are so cute. Baby humans are
she says as she has a baby human at home.
Oh no, mine's cute.
Yeah,
mine's like cute. The only baby to ever be cute. No, there's some pictures I go back and I'm like, oh, look at Walker in his phase.
He's getting much cuter with age.
Oh, like, for sure.
He's getting, I feel, exponentially cuter. As is Tolly.
Yeah.
I saw a video today of Tolly blowing bubbles. That was just the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. Well, if you want a little spoiler and to see the cute baby chimp, you may look at your one and only photo in your dossier. So, a couple years later, St. James and LaDonna would get married for real.
Did she, just do surprise wedding? Like, hey, can you meet me at the courthouse? Can you meet me at this location?
Like the first time?
No. The second time, I imagine she'd just be like, hey, let's get lunch today around, 1 o'clock. Why don't you meet me at this address?
Which is not a courthouse.
Or church.
Or church.
It's just a place. And then when he gets there, she's like, oh, by the way, I have a suit for you to wear. Like, you've got to wear this suit.
It's a fancy suit. It's a fancy dinner.
And then you're going to go stand over there by that gentleman with the collar, and I'll join you in just a few minutes.
Yeah. And we'll eat really soon.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was 3 years later, I think, because I think they said Moe was 3 at their wedding. But they did dress him up.
Yeah, their eyes are so soulful.
I know.
The chimps and whatnot.
He was I think they said a combination, best man and flower
reindeer
thrower.
Oh.
And he also peed on someone at the wedding.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So shortly after their wedding, they unfortunately found out that LaDonna could not have children.
Oh.
And they were really devastated by this, but they decided that Moe was the only child that they needed.
Was he back to driving race cars?
Yeah, I think
when he wasn't taking care of Moe, I guess.
Yeah, and he I think he had an auto body shop. I have this fact in here somewhere. Oh, it's literally my next point. When Moe, that's okay. When Moe was really little, St. James would carry him around in a sling, while he was at the auto body shop. So he would take him to work with him, and probably not in the race cars, but he
would let him steer every now and then.
That is really cute. But they dressed Moe in clothes every day. They potty trained him. He would sleep in their bed until he got too big. St. James claims that he taught him to crudely write his name, which I can believe.
I mean, they definitely have the ability to hold implements and use tools.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, chimps are smart. I will give that to them. I believe that he learned things.
How nice of you.
Listen, I don't
deign to admit that, yes, I suppose he has some degree of intelligence.
I don't necessarily have anything against this particular chimpanzee. It's just all the rest of them.
I think the thing that actually frightens you is not them, it's their combined physical strength and intelligence.
Yes.
Because not only are they very, very strong, they're very smart.
Well, and I also...
But also when, you're sitting there with them, it's like, wow, you could rip me apart.
Yeah.
But you're choosing not to.
Yeah.
That's nice.
That freaks me out. I don't really agree with them raising this wild animal just as a human child.
Oh,
without
yeah, no.
any other,
I have issues with that too. I was talking about your general fear.
Oh yeah,
of
yeah.
chimps.
Oh no, yeah. My fear is certainly with what they're capable of and knowing that they are just choosing.
Oh yeah,
not to.
I take a lot of issues with these people who know nothing about chimps.
Right.
That's not to say they probably did do a little bit of maybe some research, but again, going back to the professionals, work in controlled settings,
right,
with chimps and apes and
right, and
that's fine because they are professionals,
right,
who are very knowledgeable in all things chimpanzee care.
Yeah, and not having any other socialization with any other
Yes.
chimpanzees, and like literally being treated as a human child who, like, I mean, I feel like he's being treated as a human child that just has a certain level of comprehension.
Yeah.
And that's it. And like they do refer to him as like their son.
It's kind of like how, Critter right now, he has very few words that he says, but he understands just about everything.
Yeah.
Like if I ask him like simple directives, and put that here, can you bring me that? Can you put that down? Close that, open, whatever. He understands.
Right.
And I told you he knows the dogs' names. He can differentiate between Jory and Olive. But Shelton and I are both Mama.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but he he likes to psych you out sometimes.
Heartbreaker.
So Moe also developed favorite foods. He liked potato chips and banana cream pies. I also don't love that they're giving. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be critical of this couple, but like, are those foods that are okay for chimpanzees to eat?
Really, they're not great for humans.
I mean, they're not
so.
either, but like, Jarek and I are those people that like literally every time Kelly's like begging for food, we're like, quick Google search, like, are red peppers safe for dogs to eat? Are, the ones that we don't know if it's okay,
There's not too many that are not safe for dogs, and
basically
everyone kind of knows those. So,
well, Jarek didn't know that grapes were toxic for dogs.
Yeah,
so we're extra careful now.
Hey, that's fine.
Okay, Moe was at one point awarded an honorary citizenship of West Covina, which is where they lived. He occasionally did TV and commercial work. He was on Reading Rainbow and Sesame Street, which I meant to look up those clips, and I forgot. One time he participated in a kissing booth as part of a fundraiser for Actors and Others for Animals. And he did this alongside Lassie and the parrot from Beretta. I don't know what that is. Also, apparently, Lucille Ball was there, which I'm like, she should, okay. Anyways. But apparently Moe had the longest line of everyone. And in 1998, he even helped apprehend a local burglar. Because
he's a chimp of all trades.
I know. He was heard rattling.
Curious George ain't got shit on Moe.
I know, right? He was heard rattling the bars of his outdoor enclosure and like clapping his hands and just like causing attention.
The chimp alarm.
Yeah. And when
Dear LaDonna, wake up. The chimp alarm is going off.
And when people went to check on him, they saw a man in a black ski mask coming out of a car. And then I guess the people, I don't know if it was, they said friends went to check on him. So I'm assuming it was not St. James and LaDonna. But I guess they like went inside to call the police. And when police showed up, the burglar like obviously was not there because he ran off. But Moe was like, he's over there. Moe just pointed to the house next door, which I'm like, really? The house next door, man? Like, you couldn't be creative. That's where he was. He was just at the house next door. Didn't even think to, like, leave the neighborhood. But he was found by police and arrested.
Wow. Criminal. I mean, there's always delightful stories of dumb criminals, but it's not often one gets outed by a monkey.
I know, come on.
Sorry, a chimp.
And while not everyone was a huge fan of Moe, he was more liked than he was disliked.
You mean not everyone was bananas over him? Oh my
gosh. Yes, I was apparently part of the group here. So city officials tried to get him evicted a few years after St. James brought him home, but they were overruled, and the judge stated that Moe was, quote, somewhat better behaved than some people. And apparently it was like...
And now he's a local hero.
I know. Apparently it was like some big spectacle. Like they took him to the courthouse and he was like dressed up in a little like shirt and pants and...
He was wearing a monkey suit?
No. You are gonna really love this, aren't you?
Having a puntastic time. Don't hate on my flow.
So in 1977, so before the burglary incident. Moe had bitten a woman's finger.
Off or
no,
just down?
Chomped it. So she sued, but the case was dismissed. And I couldn't really ever find...
Dismissed? I figured they just, like, settle.
I read that it was dismissed. There is another case where they settled.
Maybe it was like, oh, well, you shouldn't have been poking him, or...
Yeah.
You know.
And it's unclear, like, how severe her injuries were, but based on the fact that her finger was not bitten off and the fact that the case was dismissed, I'm assuming it wasn't, like, a really bad bite. Like, I almost want to think that it was maybe, like, a nip, like something he did playfully and not, like, in an aggressive way. Yeah. On August 16th of 1998, so the same year as the burglar nabbing, I don't know what to call it, some work was being done on Moe's outdoor enclosure, and there was some kind of electrical shock that startled him, and he escaped. That's what I'm saying. What? Did it just take a little scare for you to just figure out how to escape your enclosure? Okay. So he escapes and would not come back, I assume, would not just come back to St. James and LaDonna calling him back, because police and animal control had to be called to corral him. It took several officers to restrain him because he is now 29 years old. So he's like a middle-aged chimp at this point, because chimps live to be like 60, I think, 50 or 60. And he weighs 130 pounds. And mind you, full-grown chimps have like 5 times the strength of like full-grown men. So very strong and like agitated, probably.
I think is it Daniel Tosh that has a little bit about chimps and their strength and then their intelligence, and basically compares them to like Vin Diesel or something.
I don't know.
I gotta go look that up.
So it takes several officers to restrain him.
Because he's, a wild animal who's relying on instinct.
Yes.
As wild animals do, because in the wild, if something were to, seem dangerous, you would want to run away from the thing, not return back to it.
Yes. So
That's just Darwinism 101, survival of the fittest, my friend.
Yeah. And like, it's not like he was cornered and then like LaDonna was able to go out there and be like, Moe, come to me. And like, he just came to her and she was able to carry him home. Like, his
She's
instinct
strong
took
to
over.
Carry home.
I know.
She'd be strong to carry home 130 pounds.
So he dented a police car and he severely mauled a police officer's hand. And I don't have details on that other than that it would eventually require $250,000 worth of medical treatment and rehab for the hand.
So that's like reconstructive surgery, and I'm assuming lots of OT and PT.
Yeah, hands are also tricky. Like,
I have Shelton and I have a friend who's actually out in California.
Is he a hand specialist?
He's a hand OT. Occupational therapist.
Oh. My mom loves to refer people to hand specialists.
Well, he's the person that after someone has seen the hand specialist, he helps get their hands working again.
Nice.
And, especially for a police officer, that's an important thing, because my brother, when he caught on fire, he had third-degree burns. He had skin grafts on his hands, both of them. And, we were really worried about whether or not he would qualify with his weapon. Because first he had to qualify with his vehicle, so he was basically had to take a driving test again, but, the police driving test.
Right.
And it's like, okay, so he's qualified with his vehicle, that's good. The next was he had to qualify with his weapon, because if he couldn't, successfully fire and discharge his weapon, then he'd be, like, chained to a desk.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately it wouldn't have been the worst thing in the world, because he was also in law school at the time, and he's a lawyer, but he was like, I want to be a lawyer, but I'm going to continue being a police officer for a few more years, and then I'm going to retire and get that pension. And anyway. So, for a police officer, any kind of, like, reconstructive surgery.
Yeah.
And also, this is, what year is this now? Like, in the 80s? This is
98.
90?
98. Yeah, late 90s.
So, okay, never mind.
So it's not great. Not a great...
Yeah. I'm just saying that my brain was still kind of in the 60s for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, hand, like reconstructive surgery back then. And again, in 98, is still not what it is today.
Yeah, that's true. So after this incident, city officials again tried to launch a campaign to force the Davises to get rid of Moe. However, Moe's supporters ran a counter campaign, and Moe was allowed to stay. And then, about a year later, on September 2nd of 1999, a friend came over to visit the Davises. And this is like, to me, this sounds very like he said, she said. The Davises said that they warned their friend not to, quote, go near Moe's enclosure. I put go near in quotes because that's what I read in one article. It's not like quoting them. But the friend like ignored them and went over and put her hand in the cage.
Oh my god.
But like, this is why it sounds weird to me, is because like your whole thing is like, this chimp is your child, you've raised him. Like, they would talk forever about how much they trusted him, how he was so gentle, how he wasn't aggressive.
But also knowing your child's limits
is
a thing.
But it just seems strange to me that you would have someone come over and then just be like, don't go near his cage.
Well,
I mean, like, yes, that's great advice. Is this a new
friend, or is this a friend that Moe has seen a lot or is familiar with? If this is a newish friend or maybe an acquaintance or whatever that, Moe's never really interacted much with before, then... Yeah.
I mean, I think it's great advice to tell people not to go near your chimpanzee's cage.
Also, it's not advice. It's just a rule of survival. Don't stick your hands in there. In an animal's enclosure. Just don't. I don't care how tame and well-trained and well-behaved the animal is. It is still an animal. Do not put your hand in it.
Also, don't stand close enough that they can put their hand out and get you.
And grab you, yes.
We've all seen those videos of the polar bears.
Oh, gosh. We went to the Blueberry Festival over the summer, and they had a little, like, petting zoo area. And there was, a bunny in a cage or something, and Walker, of course, went to go stick his hands on. I'm like, no, we don't stick our fingers in cages. And, the woman working was like, actually, that one is safe. Like, he can put his hands in if you want. I'm like, okay. I'm like, because she said, and again, he's too young to actually understand. This is more like parenting practice for me, like me practicing saying it.
Yeah.
And reinstalling, like, okay, she said it's okay and safe, but normally we do not stick our hand in the cage of an unknown animal.
Yeah. So, do you want to guess what happened to the lady's finger?
This one got bit off, I bet.
It didn't get bit off, but it did get bitten. And the Davises would later say that her long red fingernails might have looked like one of Moe's favorite snacks, red licorice. Which, again, I really don't have anything against this couple, but don't feed your chimpanzee red licorice. It just seems bad. This friend did sue, and they settled for, I don't know, some amount.
Again, doesn't seem like a very good friend at the time.
No, it doesn't, but whatever.
Like, I'm not going to sue you if Kelly attacks me or whatever. Like, because,
I mean, thank you.
The likelihood that Kelly is going to attack me is very low.
Yes.
But it's not impossible. Like,
yeah. Also, if anyone did that, like, if Kelly attacked someone and then that person, like, sued me, I would leave town. I would just flee and just for my life.
You go take a job as a deckhand on a boat.
Oh, yeah, to Tanzania.
And end up in
with
Tanzania.
Kelly. I would take her, I would just leave. Which, you can go, just go ahead and take a drink, because you're like 2 points away from what I'm about to say. So, this last incident was the final straw for the city. And so now they were like, Moe cannot stay. And he was forcibly removed from their home, and he was taken to a wildlife refuge. And I will say that the description of this...
In this wildlife refuge, there's professionals who are well-versed in chimp care, right?
Yes.
Okay.
like, the article did say this at the end. They were like, this was all, like, given from the perspective of the Davises. It wasn't like, you know, we weren't there. This was, like, the Davises telling us what happened. It did seem very traumatic. It was like they showed up and they just said, we're taking, you know, like, we have this court order. And
this is their child, essentially.
Yeah, and, like, Moe was freaked out. They, like, I think they just, like, shot him up with tranquilizers, which freaked him out even more until he passed out. And then they just, like, threw him in the back of a truck.
And then he woke up in an unfamiliar place and unfamiliar people. Like,
I understand that... And, like, they were devastated. Obviously, that seems horrific and traumatic. However, I need to just make this one point, since we were talking about Kelly. Had this been a dog, had this been a pit bull, I mean, I'm just saying this, we both have pit bulls. I think we both have a soft spot in our heart for them. Had it been a dog who had bitten someone 3 times...
Oh, they would have just shot him.
They would have put the dog down. They would have forced you to put the dog down. And in this case, they are saying, we're going to take this animal from you and put it in a place that's better for it. We're essentially going to take it and put it on a farm where it can have a... I mean, like...
Not a metaphorical farm.
Yeah. I mean,
but an actual
This would be like if Kelly had, you know, bitten 2 people and mauled a police officer. And they were like, we're going to take her away from you, but we're going to take her to a farm with other dogs.
Yeah.
That never happens.
And dog professionals.
Yeah, they would come and take her and put her to sleep. And
also, the whole forcibly removed thing, like, were they given the option to be like, to surrender Moe as well? Or was this really like, they just showed up with some paperwork and said, we're taking the chimp?
Yeah, the way that they told it was they showed up and just said, we're taking him.
Okay.
I would imagine that they were given the opportunity to...
Because that would be ideal.
Yeah.
Because then, you know, Moe, who trusts the Davises, would go willingly and comfortably, and they could introduce him to this new place and be like, okay, you're going to live here now. Introduce him to the new people.
Yeah.
Like that, less traumatic for everyone. But no, this is an episode on our podcast, so obviously there's trauma.
Yes. This part of the story just felt a little icky to me for reasons. Like, I'm not trying to say that Moe should have been put down. Not trying to advocate for that at all.
No.
But just pointing out discrepancies. I don't think dogs should be put down when they have a bite history either. But I think Moe was better off in some kind of wildlife refuge from the get-go. Yeah. I think that should have been where he was.
Also, it's harsh and cold and...
Well, and after,
mean, but, like, honestly, he never should have left Tanzania. He never... If he were able to survive on his own, or if perhaps another group of chimps were to come upon him and adopt him, awesome. But if he were not able to survive, that's the way
how nature
should have gone. Like, that's how nature works.
And, like, at this point...
Humans forget that we are separate because we've separated ourselves.
Yeah.
And we've got this now skewed... We anthropomorphize everything.
Yeah. And, like, he's now been living exclusively with humans for, like, 30 years. So it's like...
And I mean, like, just look how people are with their dogs now. Like, oh, I'm a dog mom. Like, 100% I am a dog mom.
Yeah, me too.
Like,
Me too.
I have a human child. I have a skin dog, but I've also got fur babies.
Skin dog.
My friend Corinne said that one.
I have a book. Remind me before you leave here. I've got a book I'm going to let you borrow.
Sounds great.
For a specific illustration.
So 100% not hating on dog moms, because I also am a dog mom. And, like, before I had my skin dog, I was like, oh no, I know that it will be different if I have it or when I have a human child, like, but I don't have one right now, so these are my children.
Yeah.
And so, like, I haven't, it's like, you assign personalities or, like, voices to them, like, But dogs are dogs. They're very different from humans.
Yeah.
Chimps are very, very similar to humans.
Yeah.
So, like, if we're already, trying to humanize, like, dogs and call them our children or our babies, imagine what it's like doing that to a chimp.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something that's actually very human-like.
Yeah. So, St. James and LaDonna are obviously devastated, but their community was extremely supportive of them, and they really rallied behind them. They started a petition for them called Citizens to Bring Moe Home. It got more than 24,000 signatures. People in their community also put "On Board with Moe" signs in their car windows. And I imagine that they were like, I think the way they were described made them seem like the baby on board signs that said "On Board with Moe." Which I'm like, wasn't this chimp the one, like, didn't he get out in your neighborhood?
See, like,
I would not be on board with bringing him home, guys.
I'm mildly conflicted because of the whole, being taken from his home, his familiar area, and brought somewhere completely new.
Yeah.
Having to learn all new surroundings, especially that he's older, too.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing if he were much younger and only been with the Davises for a few years, and then he was, it's basically this massive culture shock for him, and he's not able to really understand what's happening to him.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm a little bit conflicted about the whole forcibly removing and bringing him into a new place. But ultimately, he doesn't need to be in somebody's backyard.
Yeah, I agree.
In a neighborhood.
Yeah. The Davises did everything that they could legally to get Moe back. And in 2002, they filed a civil suit against the city of West Covina. And this is so weird. The city agreed to pay them $100,000. I don't know why.
And emotional damages.
I guess. They also agreed to pay $225,000 towards the purchase of a home near Baldwin Park. So they, like, basically agreed to relocate them to a different city where they could, like, where Moe could live with them.
West Coast California is a different country.
But Baldwin Park was like, we don't want a chimp here. You can't. No. They were like, no. Baldwin Park said, no, you cannot have a chimp here.
Good for Baldwin Park.
And then they were also not able to find a house at that price. And so that lawsuit, like, kind of stalled for a while. So put a pin in that. In 2004, the Davises were able to get Moe transferred to Animal Haven Ranch, which is a private sanctuary.
Good. Let's move him again. Uproot him again. Nobody cares about what Moe wants. Nobody cares about what's best for Moe. No, these people only care about them.
Well, to be fair, Animal Haven Ranch was, in my opinion, better for him than wherever this other place was.
Did anyone ask Moe what he wanted?
Well, let me explain. So, at the other place, they were only able to have 15-minute visits with him. They weren't able to, like, they basically could just look at him. And they said that he would, like, motion that he wanted a hug, and they could just basically stand on the other end of a cage and look at him for 15 minutes, and, like, that was it. At Animal Haven Ranch, they could visit him every week. They could spend as much time as they wanted with him at every visit. They, I guess, like, had a really good relationship with the owners, and, like, they could go in his enclosure with him because he had his own enclosure. So, like, they could spend time, like, actually with him.
Give him the hugs that he wanted.
Yeah, so, like...
he spent, almost 40 years now?
Yeah.
Growing accustomed to getting hugs?
Yeah, so, like, this is, I think, a good compromise. Like, he's still in a place where
in the care of professionals.
There are other primates here, not in his enclosure, so he is separated from them. But he's able to regularly see these parents that he has grown up with and have, like, good contact with them. So they housed other primates, and eventually the plan was that Moe would be kind of introduced and socialized with them kind of when everyone felt that was
Once he kind of got comfortable in the new surroundings, and then maybe take one of the, like, older and much more sociable, more easygoing primates to do a little, like, hey, see this one? They're like you.
Yeah. So, some of the other primates there, or I guess some of the other chimps there, there's Susie, who is 59. She was a former breeder chimp. I know. And she had lost an arm in some kind of accident. I don't know what kind. There was also Bones. I don't know why he was named Bones. But he was 40, and he had been rescued from some kind of abusive home. And then there was Buddy and Ollie. Buddy was 16 and Ollie was 13. And they were both former Hollywood chimps.
Little babies.
And they had been surrendered by their trainer when they had gotten too, quote, strong and aggressive to, like, safely be in Hollywood stuff anymore. So,
Save that soapbox for another day.
Yeah. So we are now at March 3rd, 2005. It's my parents' anniversary. It is also Moe's 39th birthday. And St. James and LaDonna are going to visit him to celebrate his birthday. They are bringing him a raspberry-filled cake, a bunch of toys, a bunch of presents, and balloons. Like, they're making a day of this.
Because he's used to having birthday parties.
Yes, and this is what you bring your 39-year-old child for his birthday. So they arrive at the sanctuary.
I'll bring all of that to Critter when he's 39, except for the balloons, because they're an environmental blight, but...
True. So they arrive around 10 a.m., and they set up at this picnic table that was next to Moe's enclosure. And Moe is, like, so excited to see them. Like, it's, like, this story is, like, an emotional roller coaster. Like...
I know this story, but I don't know all of, like, the backstory behind it. So,
gosh.
like, I know what's coming.
Jeez. I left out some details, like, in what's coming, too, because I was just like, I can't. I'll direct you to the article if you want the details. So, St. James begins cutting the cake. He gets Moe his piece. And he's getting the pieces for him and LaDonna. And then, suddenly, a large, young, adult chimpanzee appears about 40 feet away, and this is Buddy, who is the younger of the two. And Buddy has gotten out of his enclosure and is just
wandering the grounds,
wandering around loosey-goosey. And LaDonna said that she, like, made eye contact with him, and he just charged her. Like, his whole demeanor changed, and he charged her. So he knocks LaDonna over. She, like, grabs for her husband, and Buddy chomps onto her thumb, rips it right off. Rips her thumb off. So St. James, crisis mode, throws his wife under the picnic table and is like, I gotta fend off this chimp. Which, like, now is a great time to remind everyone, chimps have 5 times the strength of...
And also, how old is St. James at this time?
He's, like, in his 60s. Yeah. And, like, he's a big guy. Like, he's, like, over 6 feet tall. But, like, he's in his 60s.
He's no longer in his prime.
Correct.
And even him in his prime to fight off Buddy is still not a even fight.
And Buddy is in his prime. Buddy is 13. Or however old I said. So, he turns to try to fend off Buddy. And as he does this... another chimp appears. It's Ollie, who has also gotten out of his enclosure. I think they're enclosed together. I don't know. He's a little older. He's a little larger. So they just horrifically maul St. James. And when I tell you that this Esquire article just, like, tells you every detail that you didn't want to know about how this mauling happened... it does, and you can find it in the show notes if you want to read that. A summary of what happened. They gouged one of his eyes out. They ripped the skin off of part of his face. They essentially destroyed his mouth and most of his teeth. One of them either bit or ripped off his genitals. They shredded his left foot. There was one point where he said that he was, I guess one of them had like his hand in its mouth, and he said he was trying to like shove his hand down its throat.
Yeah.
And he said it just kept chewing. He was like, he just kept chewing on me. And he, mind you, stayed conscious through the entire attack. LaDonna, God bless her, is just screaming under the picnic table. And Moe is just traumatized watching his father getting killed.
Probably not a good time to introduce Moe to
gosh.
Buddy and Ollie anytime soon.
No. So LaDonna's like screaming her heart out. Finally, this fucker, I shouldn't say that. He saves the day. Mark Carruthers, who is the son-in-law of the owners, comes out. He's got a .45 caliber pistol or revolver. Shoots one of the chimpanzees, does absolutely nothing. A revolver does not bother these chimpanzees one bit. So he has to go back to the house and get something bigger. I don't know what he ends up getting, but he's got to go back and get...
But a little pistol won't break them out of their rage, their rampage.
Oh my gosh. So he goes back, he gets something bigger. When he returns, he has to get, he said pretty close, and he shot Buddy in the head, which killed him. And then when he did that, Ollie began dragging St. James away. He's like, I'm getting out of here with this. And Carruthers had to like chase him and shot him in the chest, which finally ended the attack. And like, first of all, you had to get that close to this situation anyways to end it. And like, I know what chimps can do, and I'm still just like, I cannot believe that chimps can do this. So paramedics obviously arrive on the scene, and they're absolutely shocked. The fire captain, Kern County fire captain, his name is Kurt Merrill, he was quoted as saying, I had no idea a chimpanzee was capable of doing that to a human. It looked like a grizzly bear attack. St. James, again, conscious through the entire thing, is still like awake. God bless him. His face is missing. His mouth is missing. His nose is missing. His eye is gone. He is airlifted to the nearest hospital.
Dick is gone.
Yeah, like literally, like, he's missing so many body parts. He's airlifted to the nearest hospital. They immediately, God bless, put him into a medically induced coma.
Yes.
I know. I'd be like, do that. That'd be the first thing.
Kill me.
I know. My gosh.
I don't actually mean that.
No.
But
that could be another topic. Maybe not.
Let's wait.
We'll wait on that. Maybe for a better week when we're in a better head.
Yeah.
When he did wake up, the first thing he asked was, how's Moe? Which Moe was fine, everyone. Probably a little traumatized, but Moe was fine.
Like, I see, was he, like, freaking out in his enclosure?
He was, I think, just kind of over in the corner. I think they said he looked shocked. Like, he wasn't he wasn't
like, let me out, let me...
No, he was, I think, scared.
Okay.
St. James spent 6 months in the hospital. Between 2005 and 2009, he had over 60 surgeries. His face, obviously, has been permanently disfigured. He's got minimal vision out of the one eye that he has. This information, by the way, the latest article I could find is from 2009, so I don't really have any information past that. Although I did not find any obituaries, so I assume he is still alive.
They probably just want to be left alone after all this.
But as of 2009, he was, like, unable to walk or care for himself. Like, LaDonna became his full-time caregiver. A later investigation found that Buddy and Ollie escaped when one of the ranch owners failed to lock 2 of the 3 doors of their enclosures. So just, like, human error. Animal behaviorists have theorized that the reason for their sudden aggression may have been due to jealousy. So seeing Moe getting all of this attention.
Special treatment.
Yeah. And they did mention that, like...
I wonder if the eye contact thing had something
I
to do
know.
with it, too. Because there's some things I've read about, like, if you make eye contact with this animal, make sure that you're not the first one to break it.
Mm-hmm. They did say that, like, every time that they came and they brought stuff for Moe, they always brought food for the other, like, primates there. I'm sure that they were not, like, going around like Santa Claus, like doling it out to them. But so like, I'm sure the other primates didn't see them as people who brought them food.
Right. They were probably like, we brought this cake. Here's Moe's slice. We'll have a slice. And then when we're done, hey, ranch hands, will you give the rest of this cake to the rest of the primates?
Yeah, yeah. There was also a theory that it was like a territorial thing, and it was like essentially that they saw, you know, Moe as like the new guy that we gotta like, you know, take down a peg, and they were out of their enclosure, and so they suddenly had all this freedom, and LaDonna and St. James were just like kind of the closest thing to Moe that they could get to, and so they just kind of happened to get the brunt of it.
Oh, these are Moe's toys. We're gonna break his toys.
Yeah. In 2006, Moe was transferred to a place called Jungle Exotic. Not Joe Exotic. Jungle Exotic, which was a 60-acre sanctuary in the San Bernardino Mountains, where St. James and LaDonna began visiting him regularly again, even though it was not super handicap-friendly. In 2007, after going to the Superior Court with their stalled lawsuit, remember that? The city of West Covina was forced to pay the Davises $32,000, which I think was on top of the $100,000. I think they still had to pay them $100,000 and then had to pay an additional $32,000. Plus they had to pay them $300 a month towards Moe's housing. Plus they had to cover all the travel expenses to visit him. Which I still don't understand because I don't feel like the city did anything wrong.
Yeah, no.
Like, I don't understand why that city is paying because...
This sounds like one of those BS lawsuits.
Yeah, all they said was this exotic, dangerous animal can't live here.
Like, it cannot live within city limits. It's like, it can't live in a neighborhood, you know? Like, you're not professionals. This is not a zoo.
Yeah. Maybe there was something, like, shady about how they did it. I mean, like, maybe that story is true that they, like... I don't know. On June 27th, 2008, Moe disappeared from his enclosure. The Davises were told that he had broken off 6 steel welds from the cage and opened the sliding door. By the time that they got there, the cage had been repaired. According to Joe Camp, who was one of the owners, not Joe Exotic, Joe Camp, they said that this was like protocol. They did this because they expected Moe to come back. They were like, we expect to find him and bring him back, so we are repairing his cage or his enclosure so that when he comes back, it's not broken and we can put him back in here.
Right. Basically make it ready for him when we retrieve him.
Which makes sense to me. Like, as soon as I read that, I was like, oh yeah, that actually makes sense. It no longer sounds like a cover-up now that I'm reading it.
Yeah, it still sounds a little bit like a cover-up.
It does a little bit, but yeah. So...
Just a very logical one.
A very logical one, exactly. So, obviously the Davises are frantic looking for Moe. They have tons of people. Everyone at the, oh my gosh, why did I forget the word for it? Ranch?
The jungle
sanctuary?
Exotic?
Yeah. Everyone there. The workers. They have volunteers. They hire, like a helicopter. They have bloodhounds looking for Moe. Like, they cannot find him. Like, they don't find a trace of him. They don't find, like, his body. I mean, like, you know, it's not like he ran off somewhere and got injured and died. He was last seen by workers hopping over a security fence and going up into the hills. As of 2009, which, again, is when that Esquire article was published, St. James and LaDonna remained confident that Moe was alive. Their belief...
He has no survival skills.
I agree.
He has instinct.
Yeah, I agree.
But that can only get you so far.
So they think that because they didn't find him, and because chimps are social animals, and especially because Moe was, like, extremely comfortable with humans, they think that that maybe some people found him, and, like, some people have him, essentially. Which, that sounds weird to me. I have a weird suspicion that, like, I don't want to get in trouble for slander. I have a suspicion that, like, possibly something more nefarious happened to him on purpose.
Oh, 100%. That's where my brain is.
Yeah. But he was never, like, he was never found.
To this day, we don't know.
We don't know. And, like, truly, so he was, 2008, well, I mean, do the math. If he was born in 66, how old would he be today?
Be 57.
Okay. So he would be...
Old for a chimp.
Very old for a chimp. He would be... I mean, there's a good chance if he was alive then that he has died of old age.
Oh, it says chimp lifespan in captivity is, for a male, 32 years.
Oh, I read, like...
I mean, this is just said chimpanzees, for example, rarely make it past age 50.
Oh. Okay, so maybe he is... I don't know. I read average lifespan was, like, 50 to 60 because when he was 29 and he attacked the police officer, they were like, he was solidly middle-aged.
Oldest known chimps in captivity are Little Mama and Joao.
How old are they?
Little Mama was in her late 70s or early 80s.
Jeez.
And the other one was still alive in mid to late 70s.
Man.
So, I mean, it sounds like the 39 and 32 in captivity on average. I'm not looking up the source for that or anything. I'm not deep diving in there.
Yeah.
But I'm sure that's an average. And I'm sure it's because a lot of chimps are, in captivity, kind of like Buddy and Ollie. They are probably, gotten young, used in Hollywood or whatever, but then when they get older, they get a little unruly and they just get put down.
Yeah.
Not because they die of old age.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I wonder too if he, I mean, I don't know if chimps do this at all. This is purely speculation. But if he was elderly or becoming elderly or knew he was coming to the end of his life,
he could have gone off to die alone somewhere.
If he escaped and went off to die.
Mm-hmm.
But
I don't think that's what happened.
I don't think that's what happened either. But for LaDonna and St. James's sake, I hope so too. And, like, it sucks because, like, they would say, like, I hate, we don't like talking about the incident because people assume when we say that, like, it was a chimp attack, they assume that...
# not all chimps.
Yeah, like, they assume we're talking about, like, the chimp that we owned. Because, like, you can't say this happened because of a chimp attack and also my son is a chimpanzee and he's missing. Like, because then you also have to quickly explain it wasn't him.
Yep.
It was another one. And it, I don't know. The whole story was, like, far more tragic than I intended for it to be, and I don't know. But I was like, well, at least Moe didn't get killed.
At least Moe wasn't the perpetrator of the violence.
At least Moe did not turn on his parents and murder them.
Yep.
Or attack them.
And viciously maul and brutalize them.
Yes. And, yes, that's all I can say. And, if you look at pictures of St. James, it's not terrible. I mean, it's not great, but it's not terrible. So, anyways, that's why everyone should be very cautious about chimpanzees and should not have them in your home.
Also, don't bring in a wild animal home with you.
Yes.
If you are not a trained expert in that animal's care.
Listen to an ologies about your favorite wild animal and then do nothing else. Do nothing else to interact with I don't know.
Let them be.
Just let them be.
If you love them, let them be.
Maybe look up a picture of them.
The best way to show your love for a wild animal is to let it be a wild animal.
Maybe get a sweatshirt.
And not destroy its habitat.
Maybe get a sweatshirt with their picture on.
There you go.
From, like, Etsy or something.
Yeah. There's lots of cute animals on Etsy.
Support small businesses. That's all I got.
Well, if you want to see that one picture from the Davis's wedding day with Moe as the groomsman, you can check out our Facebook and Instagram at The Tales We Tell Podcast. If you want to see pictures but don't do the social media, check out our website, thetaleswetellpodcast.com. And if you want to support us and get yourself some sweet, sweet swag, check out our Redbubble store. Search The Tales We Tell. We got a couple different logos, and you can put that on anything.
Hell yeah.
And if you want to support us but you don't need the stuff, you can always become patrons at patreon.com. Patrons get early access, commercial-free listening, bonus content, and anytime we got a new sticker or logo release, you get free stickers and love notes, and yeah.
Yep.
Good stuff.
And I am going to try my hardest to pick a better, less traumatizing topic for everyone and my brain next time.
You want something to distract you?
Yes. So, oh, wait. Yeah, you're supposed to come up with... I forgot about that.
I had a couple, but I'm just going to do this one real short, quick one.
I asked Katy for a heartwarming animal story.
It's not really a heartwarming animal story.
Great.
But it's a cute, fun, what the heck animal fact.
Okay.
So just think about that. Whenever you start thinking about sad things, remember this and just be like, that's weird.
Okay.
Wombats.
Oh.
Are you familiar? They're marsupials.
Uh-huh.
They are closely related to koalas, even though they don't very much look like koalas.
Can I look at a picture of one real quick?
They are adorable in my mind. But the most adorable and weirdest thing about them is their poop is square. They poop cubes. So, yeah. And also their butts are basically their defense mechanism. So, their butt is like a lot of like just cartilage, and so it's very resistant to like scratches and bites and stuff. And so if predators come in, they'll run into their it's a hole, but what's the word I'm looking for? They're not a cave, but you know what I'm talking about.
Like a den.
Their den.
Yeah.
And
burrow.
and basically use their butt
as a plug.
as a plug, for lack of a better word. So yeah.
Nice.
It's like, it's one of those like, you can't see me, I can't see you, you can't see me.
Look at my butt. Also, everyone should just go Google pictures of wombats.
They're
They're
cute.
really cute. Oh man. All right. Thanks. That was good. I liked that.
It's the heartwarming, like the German shepherds who, adopted the baby chicks that
I did
parents.
Google. I did a quick Google of like heartwarming dog stories, and the internet didn't provide any.
Like there was cute like little stories, but there was no real substance to it. Anyway,
I don't know. We'll see you guys next week. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.